This is a board meeting. This is a public document.
Has expressed concerns as to that document, and so we get advice from the council.
Well, there were measures in place before today, right?
Yeah,
Okay, what were those?
the Board of Elections had adopted in previous months regarding the security policy.
And the
It dealt
Secretary of
with-
State
it
said they
dealt-
weren't good enough?
No, actually, our security policy goes over and beyond what the Secretary of State has called for. Our security policy is more comprehensive, and so that's a plus for this Board of Elections that we had already taken those items into consideration. It's a matter of adopting the policy according to the tabulation and scanning of the absentee ballots.
Let's talk about the optical scanners. Yesterday, there was 2 machines that you guys just deemed too sensitive. Isn't that cutting it kind of close? Because election's a couple days away.
No, elections are about monitoring the election from start to end. In fact, we'll be monitoring the election on election day even when we conduct the elections. This is no different than any election that we've conducted in this county.
So what's the next step as far as security is concerned? You can't divulge too much because you jeopardize your security, in other words?
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of consideration in that. There's a certain amount of information that we can provide, and those that we can at this time. Yeah, but we'll seek legal guidance as to whether or not that document can be provided.
How soon will we do that?
We'll seek it, actually, that's in conversations.
Michael, do you think your job hinges on this election going smoothly?
Well, I think in any situation, performance of this agency as well as the responsibilities that I hold, it's always so this is a performance that I hold that we'll all see. And we'll see what happens. I think all the plans will work out on this case. Like I said, I can only be, I don't want to paint any picture other than we have an election that we're going to do on Tuesday.
So you're saying that the bugs have not been worked in?
No, I think we've gone a long ways since when we found an anomaly in this a couple of days ago that dealt with that we had to deal with, and we're working any issue that we see. Elections are going to have various issues, and it's a matter of how we respond to them.
And that was along with
Yes, it would deal with common place, but I don't want to isolate it to any one issue like a common pleas court. It could be any type of situation. In fact, this is a powerful force that we've seen this in other cases when we're using the contract system also. It's just a matter of monitoring the situation.
but there won't be a paper trail. Or is there?
Oh, no, these are, the optical scan ballots is a major problem.
One last question. Are you 100% guaranteeing that these machines aren't going to screw up?
No, I can't guarantee you 100% that.
Well, how confident are you?
It's a matter of gaining confidence as we're going through the testing. As we are doing comprehensive testing that we've never done in this county to the degree that we have. And I think this is because of the sensitivity that we have and the new system that we have in place.
Is Ms. Eisner's concerns warranted as far as the public meeting and how you folks going about
I
it?
think Ms. Eisner's concerns are valid, and they would be valid for any situations. I think the issue is more of the context in which it's portrayed.
When will you start counting the absentee ballots?
We will begin scanning the absentee ballots on Monday at 7 o'clock a.m.
Okay,
You
and,
obviously, go ahead.
and then actually counting the 7 o'clock p.m.
Yes,
Okay.
at 7:30.
And the fact that you had to have an emergency meeting today, though.
It's
because-
required by the directive, actually. The Secretary of State directive said that prior to scanning or handling of the absentee ballots is that we have to do it in advance of the scanning. So that's one of the reasons why we had to call for the emergency meeting.
And you know, there's a lot of publicity. There's an HBO documentary out there saying that these machines, you may vote one way and it'll turn up another way. What can you tell people, maybe who are thinking, I don't know if I want to vote because my vote might go the wrong way?
These devices have been thoroughly tested. They're tested, they're federally certified, they're state certified, and then the Board of Elections goes through a testing of its own. So we believe we go through what is known as a logic and accuracy test, and making sure how we cast it on the devices when we're testing it is the outcome that we get when the results come out. I feel very confident in that respect.
As far as final results, do you think they'll be faster this year? I mean, when will we know?
There's a lot of variables in the tabulation and finishing up 100% the election results for the night. Everything from poll workers to the Board of Election staff to getting them in. So there's a lot of component. In elections, there's always that one precinct that doesn't report in a timely fashion. So hopefully we don't have that in this type of situation, and we'll be able to do it in a timely fashion. We'll see. This is a new environment that we're in, but I think at this point is that I think individuals there want to make sure that it's an accurate election.
And you said a moment ago, your requirements for security already go above and beyond what state requires. So chances are, you folks may not even need to do anything additional for security. I mean, you may be okay.
Well, as far as the security goes, according to the Secretary of State Directive, every one of the respective points were met already in advance, but the issue was more along the lines of formal adoption. That's what we were trying to do in this case.
So you can't talk about that specifically because it may jeopardize security.
Except for the four points that is listed in the Secretary of State's office. You know, one of the things that we have, and which occurs in every election, is the sheriff officer.
Thank you. Can you run to, thank you.
And what are the other, I mean, the four?
According to the according to the Secretary of State's directive, I believe one of the directive that talks about observers, one Democrat, one Republican. So essentially bipartisan effort. Two is his password on the tabulation system, which is already in place. The third item, I believe, deals with double-locked doors, or just access actually to respective locations. And I can't remember actually what
Board
the
member
fourth
has
one
to be
is.
present?
What's
The
that?
fourth one, the board member has to be present?
No, I don't believe that one's the fourth one.
You said the sheriff deputy has to be present? Is that one of them you said?
No, that's not. That's something that we have.
Oh, okay, that you may add to it.
Yeah, let me see.
Thanks.
Watch yourself, please.
There we go. So it's controlled access to the location, secure password, control access to the automatic tabulating equipment, bipartisan, control over all absent voters' ballot, and that at no time any person has access to the count or any portion of the count before the polling places until November 7th, 2000.
And secure password to what? To computer access, you mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
Access to the server that's going to count these votes.
Okay, thanks.
How many different passwords are there, Mr. Booth?
Thank you.
How many distinct passwords are there, Mr. Booth? Mr. Booth, did you say there was a paper trail on those optical scanners? Thank you very much for ignoring me again, Mr. Booth.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
I think that we have certain people in the community right now, obviously, that want to trash the election process in the state of Ohio, and particularly in Cuyahoga County. I think if you look prior to the 2004 election, Ohio was recognized as having one of the best election systems in the world. It's a bipartisan system that involves 2 Democrats, 2 Republican members of every board of elections in the county. And both of the director and deputy director of opposite parties, I think generally was recognized as a great system. And because certain activists in the community did not like the outcome of the 2004 election,
That's a lie.
we have continuously had to deal with the process here. And now we're into an area where one of the items that we've been discussing with the council is how much of the security plan, which is a security plan to protect the election process in Cuyahoga County, can you really post on our website?
Bizarre.
And we're trying to determine that, and we're going to rely on advice from council on how much that we can put up on the website. And we want the active involvement of citizens of Cuyahoga County, but we want it to be reasonable, and we don't want to interfere in the election process, and we want to make sure that every vote that is cast is counted and counted properly.
Yeah,
How
and you realize there's a
confident-
huge nationwide concern right now about whether your vote is going to be cast properly.
Well, I think that with the testing and everything that's being done, which is the public test and everything else, that will give the assurance to the voting public that their vote will be counted. And we have a lot of checks and balances that we put into the system, particularly since May, and those systems are going to work, and I'm satisfied that we are ready to conduct a good election.
Is your confidence level, though, 100% when you have 2 machines yesterday that screwed up?
Well, we had 2 machines out of over 60 machines. We always have machines that fail on election day. We had them on the punch card system. You remove those machines from the election process. That's part of your testing and everything. When you find those out, you remove them from the process, and they're sent back and they're repaired after the election. We have sufficient machines in the system to take care of it. We have over 60 machines that are counting the absentee ballots. So 2 of them, I think, actually, I think there might have been another one that failed also. So we removed them from the process, and Mr. Hayes and the rest of the director and deputy director have kept us fully informed of that.
If machines do manage to not work and there are big problems, do you think there's going to be a public outcry for changes on the board? And
Well,
also
I
on
think,
who's
I
position?
think with what happened in May, is I think that the public had every right to have great concerns about the ability to particularly count the absentee ballots. But we also know that on voting the electronic machines, that we had a 95% favorable acceptance rating from the general public. So I think that's a high degree of confidence that the votes are not only going to be easy to be cast on election day, but also that they will be counted on election day.
Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
How would you describe all of this turmoil that's going on before the election?
Oh, I think it's an aftermath of the 2004 election that continues to be the aftermath in Ohio. I find it a little ironic that Senator Kerry carried this county by 227,000 votes. We're still talking about missing votes. I think it was the largest plurality and the largest percentage of votes cast in the history of elections here. And we're still talking about, there's certain people that think that something happened in the 2004
I
election.
know something happened in 2004, Mr. Bennett. It's not just
As
missing
far as
votes.
people getting out and voting, if they're concerned, should they still come out and
Absolutely. We want every single eligible voter to come to the polls on Tuesday, and those who haven't voted an absentee ballot, we want them to come in and vote on Tuesday. We hope we have a large turnout this Tuesday for the election.
And you fixed, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, you fixed the problem with the common pleas, Judge, too. We kind of touched on that, but what was going on with that common pleas?
The judge on the appeal of the well, there's two things that the judge was asked to rule on. Was our
No,
ability.
no, I mean, when you were casting a vote for common pleas, something was going on there? Like it was going with the machines?
No, what the judge permitted, Judge Gall permitted, which was vigorously, this was between the Secretary of State and the Cuyahoga County Commissioner Jimmy DeMore, and also the county prosecutor, which had filed an action to permit the board to early scan ballots. Not to count those ballots, but to scan them into the machine. Judge Gall not only ordered that, but then the Secretary of State acquiesced in changing his order to permit that process to occur throughout the state, so that every county in the state now can begin the process of scanning. They cannot count them. They can scan them into the machine beginning early. We have received 110,000 requests for absentee ballots. We have some over 75,000 in the board right now. So we're going to be starting that scanning process at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you very much, appreciate it.
Get some sleep.
I was shown that there is no paper tape, and that would make it, if each scanner